Digital 410 Productions proudly presents the What's in Your Head podcast.
Digitized live from
your company name here.
Studios in Cape Coral, Florida. It's the What's in Your Head podcast.
What's up, OG5? It's been a while. We're back. It's been, 2 weeks? Almost going on 3. We had the holiday off, and then Mike was under the weather, and then he was coming up out from underneath the weather. Morgan's been traveling over God's green earth. Shit's going crazy in the world. But first, I don't know, I think the important question to get caught up. Morgan, you've spent many a 4th of July down here, and it's easy to say that, for the most part, people either A, super patriotic, or B, just looking for a reason to blow shit up. But either way, 4th of July down here pops off pretty well. This year, you've been traveling across God's green earth. What states were you in on 4th of July, and did you notice any sort of difference? Obviously, Florida, fireworks are illegal if you're buying them for agricultural purposes to keep birds off your crops, but either way, they're still here. What was your experience traveling across God's expanded horizons?
Well, we were actually traveling through downtown Kansas City when fireworks started going off, and there were people shooting them off under the freeway overpasses. So as we were going over, stuff's exploding on the side of the highway, and it was pretty epic. I mean,
well, when you live in a state that could possibly burn down due to drought, I guess you got to find any concrete surface you possibly can to detonate these mortars off of.
Yeah, so it was we did the overnight stint through Missouri on 4th of July. So we actually got to see several different professional displays, and then some pretty epic personal, private stuff. So it was pretty cool.
Has it been balls ass hot your entire journey across the Great Plains and everywhere in the United States, or has the weather been nice compared to what the devil's ass crack it's been down here for the last 3 weeks?
Well, we actually camped in Wyoming at Devil's Tower, and for me anyway, it was cold.
Okay, hold on. Let's we're gonna take us again from the top, but to sound cool to the young kids, you guys say you were stealth camping. That way it sounds like you're sleeping in your car in a Walmart somewhere, but stealth camping is the catchphrase that they want to hear on YouTube. So as you're traveling throughout the country, where did you stay?
I was stealth camping at Devil's Tower in Wyoming.
And how did that fare?
I was pretty cold. It was in the high 50s for lows, which for a 20-year Florida resident,
for a lizard man such as yourself. But there's something to be said about that, because people don't think about that. For example, you'll see people snowboarding and skiing with no shirts on or whatever, and it's kind of on a warmer 35-degree day. And well, aren't they cold? Well, not when you're moving. It's when you're sitting on the fucking chairlift, you're freezing your ass off. Same thing. You're walking around 55, 60-degree weather. It's fine. You lay down and get stationary after about hour 3 and the alcohol wears off, you get a little bit chilly.
And in case you hadn't noticed, I'm kind of old.
And bald.
Well, I mean, that's my choice. I could have an epic mullet if I just let it grow. So
you look like what's his name? You look like the dude off of Aqua Teen Hunger Force, Carl. Put a wife beater on, let your hair grow out, get all long. You look like Carl.
I don't know if I could do the Jersey accent though.
What about you, Mike? What did you do
for the 4th of July weekend?
Yeah,
I sat my ass right here in my house. I wasn't playing that game. I wasn't going out. I wasn't going nowhere. I've done all that. And
I've seen enough of the world. I don't need that shit.
I just didn't want to, I mean, my wife and I, we're not really out, go out and do stuff like that. I don't like people.
Yeah, I get that.
I don't like people enough to go hang around and fucking be I loved being quarantining during COVID because it was cool. I don't have to fucking deal with people.
Yeah, I get that. Working in radio just completely destroyed 4th of July for me because we used to get the free fucking coupons from Phantom Fireworks every year. I'd have like $500 worth of free fireworks out in my garage and get to the point where like you're getting bored of lighting off mortars. You're like, here's another one. Boom.
I will say the one year when I was a teenager, an aunt and her boyfriend, they did it up one year. He had a one of those Ford Econoline vans.
Oh yeah. Speaking of Carl.
Van, and loaded top to bottom, front to back with fucking thousands of dollars in fireworks. And he bought these rolls of black cats.
I thought he was the type of guy who only likes snakes and sparklers.
Yeah. Snakes and sparklers. He bought these they were like 30 feet long, these big rolls of black cats. We had like 5 of them, and we rolled them all out in the middle of the road, and nobody could get by. If they wanted to get by, they had to go in the field across the street.
And you know what the crazy thing about black cats are?
What's that?
When you have 60 rolls of black cats combined, they're still as powerful as one black cat.
Yeah. The sound, because we didn't have, lighters. He just used a freaking torch, torched one end of one, torched the other end of another, and just kept going. And the sound, it was one of the, even going through the military, like that was the loudest thing I had ever, like I couldn't hear anything for a day after that.
Well, what the uninitiated may not know is black cats are designed to be detonated that way because they're one of the few that you buy where they're pre-interwoven. When you buy a pack of black cats, you literally have to shake them apart because they're designed. They have this long wick in it. They're not meant for it unless you're poor, and that's all you can afford. And then it's all night long.
And safety tip for the young ones out there: take it from Uncle Mikey here. Make sure you light the right end of a black cat pack. Don't light the wrong end of a black cat pack, otherwise your hand will go numb, let alone blowing off your fingers. I did that one time when I was about 12 years old. I couldn't see, it was nighttime, and I wanted to throw a pack of black cats into a culvert. And I lit the wrong side, and I was reared back to throw it. It blew up right in my hand as I was getting ready to throw it. I was lucky I didn't lose a few fingers there.
Not that we have a huge...
That's why we don't have fireworks like that anymore.
That's why they can't have nothing nice.
Yeah.
I'm about to disappoint an entire generation of people. Here's how much money black cats cost me. When we moved to Ohio, somehow my stepbrother, somebody acquired an ass load of black cats, like a metric ass load. And after detonating them, all the things with Mike and them just explained, you get bored. And so you got to up the ante. And up in the ante in 1983 was, let's create real battle simulations with our G.I. Joes and original OEM Star Wars figures.
Sure.
Millennium Falcon, blew it up. Two-Legged Walker, blew it up. At blew it up. All the original Luke Skywalkers, taped 38 black cats to them, blew them up. G.I. Joes, my original Hawk, the blue fucking Warthog, blew it up. All that shit. Me and my brother just blew it up in our backyards. We had all of it. Blew it up. The Jeep from 1978 blew it up.
See, it becomes less fun when you light one, throw it, and it explodes. Cool. Maybe you got a little tuft of grass to pop, plume up out of the yard. Then you have to start involving cans and bottles and toys of yesteryear and lakes or canals or something like that, and fucking kinds of shit.
There's a sweet spot because black cats are shitty fireworks. They're noisemakers nonetheless, and so you can't blow up big toys like a Tonka truck. It just might as well throw a fucking snapping pop at it.
Yeah.
Your sister's Barbie, the hair might catch on fire if you're lucky, but I doubt it. Once again, you're not going to have much damage. But a 3-inch G.I. Joe action figure, you put one underneath each armpit, and you're at least going to have an amputee when you're done. And so, the G.I. Joes and the Star Wars figures were like the perfect size to accommodate the destruction that a black cat doesn't provide. And so, but back to the working in a radio spoiled it for me. So for 5 years, I'm launching them out. Yay. And back in the day, we'd go to Red, White, and Boom once or twice, maybe 3 times between here when I lived in Ohio. And then the one time when we went out with Stan and Haney, me, Dave the Waterman, went out to the casino. We were lucky enough to go with the fire chief of Immokalee out to the detonation site. And since then, I have no interest in public fireworks display because where else am I going to get that better of a view, right? I was basically 20 yards from the launching pad out in an open field, not surrounded by anybody except for a drunk Dave the Waterman.
Is there any other type?
No, this is Fireball Dave. This is the night that got him the name Fireball Dave. But my boss lives 5-6 houses down from the Cape Coral Bridge where they detonate them. And he, in the last 2 years, the first year I went over there when he first hired me, he bought a crate and it has 9 tubes in it. 8, 6, 12. Yeah, so about 18 of them. And basically you would have straight up, angled, and then back, but you wouldn't use all of them. You'd load up 6, fire them, rotate it so the other ones can cool down, fire them. And we were taping them together and lighting 2 off at a time. And they're the mortars you get, they fly up in the air and go bang. And it was cool. And that was the year I took my GoPro over there and gave it to my daughter in the pool. And the side battery hatch had a bad seal. Water got in and destroyed my camera. That sucked.
For sure.
2 years ago, didn't go. This year went. Same fireworks display, but he got tired of using a lighter. So he went on the internet for $20. He got a remote control receiver like you would use for launching like those rockets that we've talked about before. So we'd go down there. Him and his son had zip tied 6 mortar lines together, load all 6 simultaneously, put on this clipper, attach it to the receiver, go up on the pool. It kind of takes the fun out just to hit a fob button on a fob, and you would see it.
It's fun the first few times, and then it kind of gets a little old.
So 2 years ago, my GoPro died. This year, I took my drone. So before the fireworks started, boats started collecting out there, and I'm flying my drone, showing it off. Now, what happens if it hit, you lose control? You got to be a real asshole to lose control of these things. They use GPS. What happens if the battery dies? 14 minutes before the battery dies, it comes back and automatically lands. What happens if your controller dies? If it loses control, it'll fly back to where it took off from and land. But worst case scenario, I was lucky. I paid $60, got 2 years worth of replacement insurance on it. Okay. So I'm flying it. We go out. I'm like, there's people swimming in the fucking Caloosahatchee River. Like, no way, really? I'm like, yeah, look. And we're zooming down. These dipshits are jumping off the back of their fucking boat, swimming in that gross-ass river. And I'm flying around. I landed. I pull my battery out, put on the charger, pop another battery in it. I'm filming my boss and I'm playing cornhole. And he's like, is that a rock out there? I was like, well, I can go see. Fly my drone out there. I'm trying to see if there's a rock in front of this boat. And I have it hovering. I said, okay. I turn it around. I can see the house where we're at. So I'm like, okay, I'm going to do a sweet and come up along the seawall at an angle. And I've done this before. It has cinema mode, which is a slow glide, stable. Cinema mode, you have normal mode, and then you have speed mode. So I switched to speed mode, and I see lost communication. And I look over, and just like a fucking Japanese kamikaze zero, I see that thing bounce off the sidewall and go right into the river. What happened?
You've had that for what? 4 months?
4 months, and 87% of the time I've flown this thing over water. I have successfully launched and landed it on the front of my kayak while in the fucking water. So I've gotten pretty good with it. I'm like, what the fuck? So we go look, and while I saw the footage, and you have the footage that's on the SD card, which is in full 2K, and then you have the cached low-profile footage that saves your phone. So I go back and watch it, and the thing's like 20 feet in the air, and the video just cuts out. But I remember seeing it hit the seawall, and luckily it has a gray tint to it, and Caloosahatchee's iced tea fucking brown. And we go look and see splashing, and my boss's wife brings out a camera. It's waterproof. We stick it under there. We get lucky. It's kind of shallow. We caught the silhouette of it. You can see like the silhouette of the X because the wings are all out. And I'm looking, and I'm like, fuck, I did not want to get in this river, but I got to get this drone out. And I remember that my brother-in-law, back before he got married, he was dating a girl whose dad had a house on the Caloosahatchee River, and just him climbing up the ladder on the dock, there was so much what is it? It's not coral, but what's that shit that gets so much barnacles? He cut his foot open and had to get stitches. And I'm looking all over the side of the seawall, and it's completely covered in barnacles. And I'm like, I know goddamn well even if I wear my Hey Dudes, when I try to push myself up, I'm just going to cut the shit out of my knees, because your knees are going to inevitably hit the sidewall. And my boss's wife tells her son to bring their aqua shoes, and I'm like, well, do you have a ladder? And Josh's like, just jump in. I'm like, it's not the jumping in part I'm worried about. It's getting the fuck out. There's no ladder around here, and if they are, I'm going to be covered in barnacles. So long story short, we go get a 6-foot tall ladder. I stick it in the water, lean up against the seawall. They hold it. I go down, step in the water, and I'm trying to find it. I can touch the fucking barnacles. My hands are getting cut just from sliding my hand over looking for this thing. And finally, we see it, and of course, it's landed in shallow water, but it's found the one little crater that puts an extra 1.5 feet. So now I got to go a short half hour before I'm talking about, oh, look at these fucking gross people swimming in the Caloosahatchee River. So now I have to go underneath the water. I reach and grab it, hand it to my boss. I get up, climb up, go jump in this pool in all my clothes, just boosh, jump in. And I'm like, fuck. 2 years. First time I lost a GoPro over here. Now my damn drone falls from the sky, which I can't understand why. Once again, it wasn't a battery die because they get to 14%. They fucking start screaming and they come land automatically. You don't have a choice. Control loses communication. It uses GPS, as we said before. Why the fuck this thing just fell out of the sky? I have no idea. I get home, get on my app. This is for July 4th. Okay, July 4th. Get on my app. Go to service. Hit submit claim. I got a 2-year warranty of $60 for 2 years. And it also covers flyaways. Hit request replacement drone. Doesn't ask why. Doesn't say how come. Just says, okay, we'll process your request. But to protect our investment, we're going to have to hold $199 on your bank account. I'm like, well, that's kind of fucking dumb, but whatever. So that's July 4th. And July 5th, I get up. I got an email from DJI. There's already a shipping label in my email. The very next day, after I submitted 11 o'clock at night on 4th of July. So I get it, take the drone, slap it in the box, put the mailing label on it they sent me, send it out. Well, I get an email saying you should have a new one back in 3 to 5 days. Save you guys a long, boring story. 5 days later, I get an email from them saying, hey, we got your drone. We're going to release your funds today. This was on the 8th. I'm like, great. We all know how this game works, right? How many times have you bought something or had to put a deposit on a fucking car or whatever, and it takes 5 to 8 days to get your money back, right? Because that's the way it fucking works. Mm-hmm. Well, come to find out, their support is so great. The reason they wanted that $200 deposit, they didn't wait to get my drone in the mail to inspect it. Once that UPS labeled registered as being on the truck, they shipped the new one to me. And so the deposit is to make sure I didn't send them a fucking Matchbox car or a box of rocks. Yeah. Once they got my box and cracked it open, they released my funds. They released it on the 9th. 7 a.m. on the 10th, that money was already back in my bank account. So whenever you talk to these, oh, that's just the way the banking system works. No, you fuckers are trying to hold on to my bank. DJI, the company they're trying to outlaw, sent me a new drone right here, 5 days, and not a refurb. This thing came in an OEM box minus the battery and the controller because I didn't replace that. So within 5 days, I had a brand new drone, no questions asked, no hassle, no, well, what happened to it? It's just, fucker, you paid for replacement. I mean, we've all done that. Remember back in the early 2000s, you couldn't buy a computer, a cell phone, or scratch your fucking ass in a Best Buy without getting someone's extended warranty. And if you ever tried to file a claim on it, it was like fucking, you were getting into the dark room with the bright light on you. Why is the computer not working, Don? I don't know. My kid was using it. I just need a warranty. This doesn't work like that. We got to try troubleshooting steps first. Now, with that being said, I'm sure it would have been a little harder if I wouldn't have recovered my drone, even though it does cover a flyaway service. And these drones are kind of assigned to your profile via the serial number, much like an iPhone. So if someone were to find it, it's not like they can just fire it up and fly to the thing's grounded because it's been reported as damaged or, lost. But yeah, fucking 5 days, including a holiday weekend, back in a brand new drone. Yeah.
That's wild, man. That's unheard of.
So
Companies don't do that shit anymore.
the main accessory you need for one of these, if you guys get yourself a drone, the audience, if someone's watching on YouTube, your parents get you a DJI drone, your wife, whatever. Sometimes it's probably $100 for 2 years. Fucking buy it. It's so worth it. If I wouldn't have bought that, I'd been fucking out $260 because this is the low model drone. Could you imagine having a $2,000 drone and then having that come through? Or like, oh, we'll send you a $2,000 drone for $100. That's probably $200 for 2 years. But either way,
Yeah.
and I was just shocked at how quick I got the fucking money back.
Yeah.
Because I fell in between paychecks too, right? So like that's $200. You can't really be having sitting out in the fucking universe for 10 days. No, literally the very next day it was back in my bank account. So I don't.
That's crazy.
More of these companies need to take, a lesson. Look at fucking DJI.
Take note, fuckers.
Take note, fuckers, because yeah, it's freaking goofy.
That's wild, man.
You ever see that guy in public that has like his own theme song?
What?
Has like own soundtrack to his life. Walking in Publix, buying some groceries, so I can come home and make myself a steak for dinner.
Ooh.
I'm down 7 pounds
Fancy
in
pants.
20 days. Don't call me fancy pants. I bought a $4 fucking steak from Publix. That's a low end. That's like one step up over Waffle House.
A cube steak.
It was like $4.97. It was cut in 3 pieces, but that's all I made for dinner because I'm trying to watch my carbs. But I'm walking through Publix and I hear this music, and the only way I can describe it is it's kind of like mariachi, but more funky than that. And the only way I can describe it, think of like the montage scene from like a police cop chase show or movie from the 70s. It's a little mariachi, but a little swing into it. I look around, there's this guy.
I immediately went to Shaft for some reason.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Shaft without the lyrics. But this is a white guy sitting in a fucking rascal scooter in the middle of Publix, has his cell phone propped up on his little steering wheel, and he just has his fucking 1970s pimp fucking mariachi. He was just... But I literally said out loud, I said, it sounds like a soundtrack to a movie. This guy's rolling around Publix with his own fucking soundtrack. Just, yeah, I can dig it. Don't talk about Steve.
What a fucking rascal.
Have you ever seen the movie I'm Gonna Get You, Sucker? With,
No.
I can answer that with one question. How much for a rib?
But that's, the whole time the main character's walking around with like a whole orchestra following him.
Yeah, the dead goldfish in his fucking platform shoes. But where do you guys? I mean, this guy aside, because he's fucking John Shaft in a fucking goddamn scooter. But where do you guys fall with like when you're standing in line at 7-Eleven and people are just playing music through their speaker on their phone, not through an earbud?
The thing
It drives me nuts.
I haven't sometimes that bugs me like on a job site, but there's like the unwritten rule of, whoever's on the job site first gets premier parking and gets to pick the music. That's been the fucking rule as long as fucking music's been around.
Yes, but aren't they also obligated to bring the spare roll of toilet paper?
I mean, I keep on it.
Nothing like new construction.
Yeah.
Ooh, brand new toilet. Let me christen this motherfucker.
Yeah. Don't. Yeah, you don't want to go
Mike,
with me.
Mike, they haven't turned the plumbing on yet. What? Wait a minute. I am the plumber. Fuck.
You don't know.
Hook
how
up the
many
main
things
line
I've
first,
seen,
Mike.
Chief. You don't know how many fucking bare bowls I've gone to. that ain't
He's
got
Mike
no
of the Hill
fucking-
people. Many
ain't
things
got
he's
no
seen,
fucking
many
H2O
things he's
in there.
done.
It's fucking nasty. The thing that I can't stand, because I've never actually really heard unless it's somebody that's working like in the store, behind the register, which is, rude enough as it is. When you walk in and they're blaring music on their phone, they don't give a shit. And it's like, it's graveyard shift, but it's like fucking 2:00 in the afternoon.
Yeah.
And it's like, what the fuck? Like, have some decency, not to, especially as vulgar as music is today. you know.
So what you're saying is when you're taking your daughter to buy some shoes in the girls department of Target, you don't want to hear the uncensored version of WAP playing in someone's phone.
Exactly. That's you know, have some, we've said this before.
Some decorum.
Have some fucking decorum.
We need to make that shirt. Have some fucking decorum.
The one that kills me is people that are on the fucking phone. And even worse than that, they're on FaceTime.
Or speakerphone. I think we should all agree as a society that if we're at a gas station, a Waffle House, standing in line at a Chili's or a Publix, and somebody's on their phone on a speakerphone or any other mobile app that broadcasts our conversation for the whole world to hear, we have effectively been invited to participate in your conversation, and we will do so as we deem fucking necessary.
Even worse, people that are providing the service to you that are on the fucking phone.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, that just fires me up.
On speaker or on a fucking FaceTime call, and they're sitting there talking to their fucking boo because they ain't got nothing else to fucking do all damn day long.
I can understand it if you're like a middle-aged chick working in a gas station at midnight. You want somebody to witness you in case you get shot in the face. I understand that. But put the conversation on hold while you ring up my Twinkies and my fucking self-guilt.
No. They're ringing them up and they're still talking to fucking boo.
Look what this fat ass is buying. He bought 17 cases of honey rolls.
Yeah, like, fuck you, man. Like, you know,
so
talk to me. I'm here.
So I got a story that ties into this from the first leg of my trip.
Yeah.
We
the right leg or the left one?
Well, I guess it depends on which foot you step off with. But we took Amtrak from Seattle to this little town in Montana where my son's been working. And girl gets on, and she was on FaceTime. Little compartment in the back of the train has 12 seats. And just, you know, as loud as we're having a conversation right here, talking about, oh, the boyfriend didn't make this trip, and blah, blah, blah. And my daughter's here, and for like 30 minutes. It was just the most ridiculous thing I ever heard.
Now, did you say you rode a train?
A train, yeah.
Amtrak.
Amtrak, yeah.
For those of you who haven't been on a train, new train or old train, there's what they call road noise. It's not exactly it's not super intrusive like a jet plane with low insulation, but there's track noise. There's a clack clack and occasional
absolutely.
So it's like not exactly the most the most ideal place for a fucking speakerphone conversation.
No.
It's almost like people are afraid that if they see you putting a phone to your face, they're going to think you're like fucking a peasant. Like, this is too much for us now. We can't do this anymore. Everybody talks on speakerphone. And I've never felt older than complaining about this. Back in my day, we had a 17-foot cable and we used to hide in the closet because we wanted our privacy. But now you young whippersnappers are telling the whole world that you got chlamydia. Good for you, Sheila. Take a pill and get the fuck out of line.
You want to know what's just as bad as that? Sitting in traffic and listening to somebody through their car.
Yeah, or gas station. You'll hear them drive by.
And all you hear is...
Mm-hmm.
Turn it down. Like, you need it that fucking loud? Are you deaf? What the fuck?
I love my lady so much. I love the deep rumble in her voice. I put 12-inch subwoofers in my car, not because I listen to music. No, I want to hear the grumbling in her voice when she talks dirty to me on the way home from work. I want to recreate that scene out of the Howard Stern movie where she goes. It's like, fucking God help us.
People are just, I think a comedian said it best. He said, there's a little voice in the back of your head that you're not supposed to listen to. And unfortunately, these days, people are starting to listen to that little fucking voice. And they're doing whatever the fuck they want.
Well, you know why? Because we're not allowed to shame motherfuckers no more.
Huh?
We're not allowed to shame motherfuckers no more.
Yeah, that too.
You can't bust Steve's balls at work for being a stank ass. Human resources won't let you. So now everybody's got to deal with fucking sitting next to him in the warehouse at 90 degrees, smell like fucking dead fish and onions. Yeah, thanks.
we still have all that. All that still goes on in fucking in the construction industry.
Yeah, but you're no longer allowed to fill his truck cab with a bunch of Christmas trees because he might send in a report. We did that when I worked at CompUSA. We had this guy named Lance. Big dude, big guy named fucking Lance, and Lance stank. Lance stank so bad he got sent home on 2 different days for a personal day. My poor roommate had to find a nice way to tell somebody 10 years older than him that he needs to go home and invest in some deodorant and possibly take a shower or 6. It got to the point where John literally came in. I came in because I only worked part-time because I got hired last. Had more certification than any motherfuckers in there. Got paid less, but I walk in there and there's vanilla.
I digress.
There's vanilla car air fresheners hanging up in the tech shop. I'm like, what the fuck? And John's like, it's fucking Lance. Can't handle it anymore. John literally came. And you know how the vanillas are, right? You're supposed to, if you guys read the instructions, you're supposed to like slide that little fucking pack down like you're a virgin sliding down a legging off a girlfriend for the first time. Like you're supposed to slide it and then leave it dangle there for 2 days just to get your frillies up. Then you slide it down a little bit. No. Fucking I was a straight off guy, and that's the way it was. We had 5 of these things, full fucking bloom, straight out of the pack. And so the entire tech shop, and you know the smell, if you especially grew up in the 80s and 90s. For those of you who don't know, the smell of a yellow Christmas tree car air freshener is exactly the same smell as the Dum Dum lollipop that was flavored in vanilla. And that's what the entire tech shop tasted like and smelled like, was vanilla goddamn air fresheners.
Trying to get rid of that fucking raw onion.
Here, Lance, we got you a new necklace.
Yeah.
When I worked at Horton building ambulances, when I tell people I used to build ambulances, I think a lot of people think, oh, like an assembly line at Chevy. No. Think more of like West Coast choppers. I mean, we'd send a guy with one hand.
Pulling them in the shop, chopping them down and building them up.
We would send a guy with one hand down the Ford or International or Freightliner. Now, to give him credit, this dude was a hard fucking worker. The only reason he was working in the department where he went and got the trucks is because he already worked there for 20 years and got arthritis, and the only hand he had fucking left. And so they were nice enough to move him to a department where he wasn't cracking wire nuts all day and getting fucking arthritis in his one good hand. So he would go down and get, literally, it was a Ford F-150, F-250, F-3, just the cab and open air. They would just tape a fucking giant trash bag, one seat. It would come, we'd pull all the seats out. We had a area in the back where guys are pressing, fucking welding together the boxes, mounting them on there. We had a wiring harness manufacturing place. I mean, Nathan and the guys were literally making the wire harnesses by hand. It was the most insane thing. Long ass table had these little fucking metal pegs, and they would just wrap the wire in and out, and they would have little lines representing the cutouts and depending on which model, Ford, International. But I say all that to say this: it's fucking. We had this Italian supervisor. Oh, what the fuck was his name? He called everybody Buckethead. And this guy. Now, if you guys worked in the trades, warehouse, any employment area that tends to hire non-college graduates, they have like the real shitty fucking lunch break rooms that have like that gray soot over every fucking surface just because it's an industrial plant. You know that gray coffee you get in that brown vending machine with the drop-down cup?
Yeah.
And if you're real lucky, they may have the option for the French vanilla, which just squirts some fucking syrup shit in that same coffee, and now it's gourmet. This Italian guy, I forget his fucking name. I remember Bob's name. That wasn't Bob. Bob's the guy. Here's something you don't do. When you're pondering over the work plans to build this truck because the engineers come up with ideas that they never try and you're trying to figure out how you're doing this, and you're snacking on a bag of chips while doing this, and Bob looks at you saying, hey, you don't get much work done eating. You don't look at Bob and say, hey, you're not getting much work done watching me eat. He did not like that at all. We went outside. I got a couple of points. I literally said, I was up my ass to these guys because they had us working mandatory 55 hours a week. I literally said, you're not getting much work done sitting there watching me eat. He was pissed. But the Italian guy, he would drink nothing but those fucking cheap wannabe cappuccinos. And just like that guy who drinks nothing but fucking bourbon, For those of you who aren't familiar with the human system, I'll be honest, I just learned this like 4 years ago. You know, your urine. People think, oh, I'm drinking this beer, it goes down into my stomach, and then somehow ends up in my bladder, and I piss it out. No, all that shit goes directly in your blood. All your urine is excreted from your fucking bloodline. So all that shit comes from your blood, which means everything you consume, as I've been saying for 50 years, you are what you eat. Well, that's why your Uncle Steve smells like bourbon when he sweats, because he drinks so much bourbon it gets in his veins, and when he sweats, well, this motherfucker smelled like spoiled baby formula from the fake generic dairy product that they put in this French vanilla coffee he got out of the brown vending machine covered in fucking gray soot. So it's 90 degrees in there, 110 degrees, no air conditioning because you're in a giant fucking factory. And here he comes, leaning in the cab of your truck. What's going on? And he would leave, and it was like somebody just dropped a fucking diaper in your gut. It just smelled like spoiled baby formula. Like, God damn, dude. Fucking lay off the coffee and put on some deodorant. I don't miss working in confined spaces in hot places with stinky people.
I do that sometimes.
Have you ever? But
sometimes I'm that guy though too.
Have you ever experienced someone being sent home due to their smell?
I've had to do it.
Really?
I don't know.
Yeah.
How does that conversation take
very
place?
unpleasant conversation to have with one of your.
How long ago? How long ago? Because this might be a very important sociological study we're conducting here on the What's in Your Head podcast. How long ago did you send someone home for being a stank ass?
Honestly, it was probably about 20 years ago.
Thank you.
So
poor Blake had to send fucking Lance home in 2006. Reason I bring that up is I almost think that would be a suable offense nowadays. People are so delicate. I think if, especially a corporation like a CompUSA or somebody, HR sent you home because you stank too bad for anybody who works with you or shops in your store to be in your general vicinity. I almost think people could, I'm suing you because I got a pituitary disorder and my feet stink. Well, do they not sell fucking Gold Bond at the Walgreens by your house for $2? Dump that shit in your shoes, man. Like, I get it. People do have like funk, like bacteria problems or whatever. If that was me, I would seriously take a change of socks with me to work, do anything, you know, fucking bring a biological waste bag to put my other ones in and seal it up. It's one thing at a construction site, but I'm talking like at a Best Buy or a fucking, you know, Bill Ward's
where
fucking
you're, especially where you're
shop.
going to be around the general.
Oh, yeah, if you've got a customer-facing position, I mean...
Yeah.
Or worse, you drop off your computer to me, Mr. Morgan. You come back. I'm Lance. Come on back to my work cubby. Let me show you what I did. Now, you're my microphone. I'm Lance. We're just fucking close together. Yeah. You think you're going to get a return customer out of that? No.
Nope.
No.
I'd even go as far as to say that, and I'm probably going to be labeled as something real assholey right here, but certainly you couldn't tell a woman anything like that. In today's day and age,
Sheila, did you forget to put your tuna sandwich in the refrigerator?
Dudes can usually take things a lot better, in my opinion, than women can, because feelings and stuff like that get involved. Now, a lot of dudes these days are very in their feelings, as they say. But tell me you don't see a woman my size. I'm a big dude. You don't see a woman my size that stanks to high heaven, got fucking that onion BO.
What is that? What is onion is like the number one comparable smell to stink ass people. Not Gouda, not a stem of asparagus. It's always fucking onion. Why can't they smell like a patch of Sour Patch Kids? Why can't it be good? Like, this motherfucker smells like Skittles. Let me scoop on in. I'm sure if Lance smelled like fucking Skittles, we'd get all kind of return customers. But no, fish and onions.
But yeah,
so
fucking if you told, you know, and really anybody these days, but especially I think the female gender of our species, that if you were to say anything to them.
What about the other 38 genders? Do they smell too?
I don't know why
I'm
you're
sorry,
using
what?
gender language to identify people.
Who are you to assume people's gender identity?
I don't really give a fuck.
What a bigot you are,
I
Mike.
know I'm a
Jeez.
bigot, I'm a misogynist, I'm a sexist, I'm racist, I'm everything. I love
But
it.
I want to piggyback off of what you were saying there for a minute, Mike. And I was having a conversation with my son earlier today.
Yeah.
And do you think that there's a difference between dealing with someone who's been in the military and someone who's been a civilian all their life?
My instinct is to say hands
Do-
fucking down.
Do you what
But I
do you
don't
mean
know.
just on a like a general reaction kind of
Yeah,
conversational
I mean,
basis?
like basically, if you had to go to
Fuck yeah.
someone and say your performance sucks, or you need to take a shower, or whatever.
Fuck yes.
Yeah, because I
yes.
mean that's like the number one goal of boot camp. Not that I went, but is to tear you down and to teach you how to internalize your feelings and look at
Internalize,
Yeah,
your
absolutely.
Fucking put that shit down to kill more efficiently. That's the fucking goal. Have your brother's back. Have your sister's back. Talking to any military personnel or anything
or
like that.
somebody who
Anybody that has
played
to
like
go to that
football their
rigorous-
entire life, like that guy who played like little league from like 5 until he played college football. You know, same thing. You know, there's no I in team. You know, it's get to the fucking gym, do your work, make sure your grades are up, and if you fuck
But
up, we're gonna yell at you.
even that has its limits,
Sure.
though. Anybody that's gone through training, that's gone overseas, that's gone, deployed or anything like that, anybody that's been in that kind of camaraderie atmosphere, you can take shit on the fucking chin. And
Well, I mean,
you learn you're funny real quick. You learn how to make fun of yourself. I'm a 300-pound fat fuck that doesn't go run.
You weren't back then.
I'm
seen the
not going to
photos.
sit here and fucking cry about it. You just learn to fucking deal with it. People are going to make fun of me. People are going to say mean shit, and it is what it is. And it's no different. You and I talking back and forth about shit like that. I can point out shit about you, and you're not going to take it personally because you've been there.
no, I mean, absolutely. I mean, like earlier, Don teasing me about being bald.
Sure.
It's like, sure, whatever. I'm a fat, bald old guy.
Right.
I mean, all three
Well,
of
it's
those
not
are
like I
statements of
said you
fact.
look like Bam Bam Bigelow or anything.
Hey, well, I mean, as long as he didn't say I look like Butterbean, I mean, that's,
Hey,
Well,
Butterbean got on
you're borderline.
DDP. Butterbean got on PDP yoga, and he's making a fucking comeback. He went from
He is too.
he went from
did you see
unable
that
to
video?
walk to a fucking
Yeah,
doing fucking high steps now.
good for him.
He's bouncing back.
Yeah, but yeah, I definitely to write off your point there. I mean, I definitely think that and I think you can tell too. There's certain aspects about people that you can kind of get that vibe off of them, like they've been around that kind of atmosphere before, because there are a lot of friends that I have that I can't talk like that around them, but then
Yeah.
I can talk like that around you. Don, I can talk like that around because he's just like that naturally.
Well, you're in a
And
precarious
Ron.
situation of being of the age where you could be in a room growing up and 50% of it's Gen Xers, 50% of it's millennials, and depending on which side of that room you're standing on, you could say talk a different way and get a different response.
Exactly.
Cross that line, and it's like, okay, now I'm coming over here, and I have some really difficult news to tell you.
Yeah.
Please don't get offended.
Yeah. And it's the sad part is, and I hate it too, because they say that millennials are like 1980, I think, to like maybe 97 or 2000 or something like that. So I'm like just past the halfway point. I'm not an elder millennial as they would consider it, but I'm not one of the young hip millennials as they would also call it, but I tend to usually more I guess pick sides with Gen Xers, the baby boomers, the Gen, what is it? Gen X is is it Gen Y? Or is that us?
No, you have Gen X, Gen Z, the millennials, and then I think the new ones are the Zers or some bullshit, or Zims or some dumb bullshit. They can't even come down a single. They can't even agree on a single letter.
Well,
Zebco, I think.
There's
also
millennials.
Yeah,
there's Zennials. There's Zennials.
I don't buy into
all
all subcategory shit. No, it's fucking
I think
greatest generation, baby boomers, fucking Gen X, millennials, fucking Gen Y, and then Gen Z.
Millennials got named millennials because we witnessed, the new millennium.
And the
I think we were originally called Gen Y.
And the media is so lazy that after years of picking on millennials, when Gen Z's got old enough to do millennial type shit, they started getting labeled as millennials. So then you guys start catching flack for the dumb shit Gen Z was doing. It's like, no, that's not millennial. That's fucking Gen Z. You guys got your generations confused.
Yeah. Yeah.
Speaking of dumb shit,
uh-oh.
Got to know your audience. Just because you live in Hollywood and you surround yourself with like-minded people who are afraid to speak a certain way, you got to know your audience. And so when you're touring in Australia and you're celebrating your band buddy's birthday and you give them a cake and you're not knowing your audience because you're used to being surrounded by a certain type of people, and you say, don't miss next time, his birthday wish. Tenacious D Australian concerts postponed after Trump shooting joke as local politicians call to deport the band. So while on stage, they bring out have a robot with a cake, and it's Gass's birthday, Kyle Gass's birthday, and Jack Black says, "Make a wish, buddy," and he said, "Next time, don't miss." Talking about the Trump assassination attempt, in which part of the audience cheered, but as many people in the audience were there, it wasn't overwhelmingly. Well, like a short 24 hours, they canceled the fucking tour. Jack Black is totally backpedaling, even though he's had videos where him like going super crazy ballistic over Biden. It sounds like not only the tour canceled, I think Jack Black may be like trying to separate himself from Kyle. The fucking blowback's been so bad. He's talking about he don't know if he can continue their 30-year relationship making music together. So this whole thing blew up in their face so bad. Not only they get canceled their Australian tour, get threatened to be deported, but now the band might break up over it because you didn't. I mean, even if your audience is full of fucking hardcore Democrats, it's not like they want to see people die.
You can't.
They don't want to see people die. It's like,
well, it's just like with the Dixie Chicks, when they were over in England or wherever they were. And Natalie Maines opened her yap and started, talking whatever she was talking. I don't even remember now. Something about Bush, I think.
Yeah.
But it's, the problem with it is nobody goes to see a concert to hear a bunch of political rhetoric.
Unless you're going to you're going to an
to
NWA concert or like a Rage Against the Machine concert, then you expect the political talk.
Okay, so but
the group who put out a video about a little cartoon devil talking about how he likes to eat vagina, they don't expect that sort of talk.
Well, we've touched on this before, and my opinion on musicians, I don't think. It's one thing like Rage. It's like, fuck the man, But that's...
Yeah, but as you got older and you started to realize...
generalized, like, as a whole.
Yeah, but when you start to get older and you get educated and you realize what that red star on all their shit symbolized and what the Mao t-shirts are wearing, then you're like, okay, my teenage angst is gone and now I see what you're actually singing about. Yeah, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It was fun then, but yeah, there's a reason why you guys broke up.
Right. But it's my opinion that I don't think that celebrities or musicians should push their personal political views on their fucking audience.
Well, we're in an interesting time now where celebrities aren't the celebrities they once were. Before, for young cats growing up who don't remember a world before even MySpace, before the internet had social media pages, with the exception of, the early versions of a YouTube video that's gone viral, which back then was a lot of cats and dogs. When it actually took some amount of either talent or tragedy to become famous, people held celebrities in a high regard. You know what TMZ stands for?
Yeah.
The TV show TMZ. You know what those initials stand for?
I don't
30
know.
Mile Zone.
That's correct. 30 Mile Zone. Back in the golden day of film, back before even I think maybe John Wayne days, but earlier than that, maybe the 30s and 40s.
Mm-hmm.
Movie stars actually worked for an actual movie house. You didn't just go around and take whatever movies you got. You were under contract with Time Warner or, whatever movie house.
RKO or Paramount.
And they owned your ass. And they had a relationship with the journalists because there were so few of them. Hey, if you want to interview any of our fucking people, when the movies come out, you want a one-on-one, anything that happens within 30 miles of Los Angeles doesn't fucking touch your goddamn papers. And that was the agreed upon unless you were a rogue. So you never saw stories of fucking Johnny Carson getting drunk and backhanding his wife. Didn't mean it didn't happen. 50 years later, the stories are coming out. But back then, or that's why people didn't realize that, who was it? Brock
Hudson.
Rock Hudson. That's why people didn't realize he was gay, because no one talked about the shit. Anything that happened in 30 miles of Hollywood. And so people looked up to celebrities back then. But now, now that everybody has a platform, now that everybody has a voice and more voices are getting heard, and you're like, yeah, that sounds like my voice. And then fucking Jack Black pipes up like, no, that don't sound like my voice. And you start to realize, you realize what a lot of people realize who've been around them. Actors, movie stars, and comedians are just normal people with real cool jobs. And just like normal people, some are great and some are fucking assholes. Just because they get paid a shit ton of money and do really cool projects doesn't mean they don't fall in one of those two categories. And people are realizing that, and people are putting less and less stock and give a shit in what these cats are saying. They're just like, hey, keep doing the art that you do that we love you for, and fucking post pictures of you and your kids at the fucking beach. We don't want to see the picture of you holding a severed Trump head, or even even if you're Republican, you're anti-liberal shit. We don't want to see that either. We don't want to see it from either side.
That media as a whole is changing.
Well, they have to.
It has.
Go ahead.
To your point, anybody with a camera can become, somebody with something to say. You don't have to be, a De Niro or Robert Downey Jr. or somebody like that.
Right. There's a time came where journalism became more about pushing your opinion and less about what's actually going on.
That was
and
when
the point of it all.
Yeah, that's when we got cable news. That's when we got cable news station. Back when it was just before cable, it was like we got news at 6 a.m., news at noon, and news at 11 p.m. We just need enough news to fill 3 hours of time slot. And so they reported the news. They got 24-hour news stations. Fuck, we need 18 hours more content. What do we do? Yep. And it was just, and now, okay, well, they're reporting the same thing over there. These people want to pay us in commercials to kind of express their opinion more, and so people took a fucking side, and it's all bought and paid for on both sides.
Yep. And that's
and it's become not so much about what the story is, more it's what you need to think about the story.
Yeah.
Stan and Haney were both so old school that even when I worked there 10 years ago, anytime a story broke, they made me find it on 3 credible sources. So, this shooting happened. Where'd you see that at? Facebook. Find it on 3. I got 2. Nope. Wait until the 3rd source pops up, and then we'll go live with it. And if more companies did that, they would have less money, but they would have what we used to call journalistic integrity.
Well, I listen to a lot of podcasts and stuff, and one of the guys I listen to, his thing is I would rather be right than be first.
I was 2.5 miles in on set. Was it Saturday? What Thursday was it? Was it Thursday when they popped shots at him?
No, it's Saturday night.
Saturday. It's every day runs together. Like you can go back to 8 years. You can go pull the 6 years of this podcast. My brother and I said this. I even said when Dave was around. I'm not a Trump lover. I'm not a Trump hater. The guy does shit good, I give him props. The guy does shit bad, I give him props. I'm not one of these people who thinks he's the devil. I'm not one of these people who think he's a fucking messiah, which those people have doubled down in the last 4 days. Yeah. Boy, howdy. But, and I think I've probably said this to Mike off air plenty of times. I've said before, it's like, someone's going to pop shots at this guy. So I was 2 miles in, and Carrie texts me, shooting at the Trump rally. I'm like, huh? Okay. Google on the phone, shooting at the Trump rally. Was I shocked? No. Was I surprised? Was I in dismay? Nope. I texted my brother and I said, it finally happened. Someone popping shots off at fucking Trump. Gord was at a grocery store. Finished up my 7 miles and looked into it and saw the story. I saw the video and I saw the blood. I assumed what happened. And this just goes to show when you assume. To me, him going down and then you hearing the pop, pop, pops, it sounded to me like the bullets were hitting the podium, and I thought he got hit in the side of the face with bullet fragments or wood chips before we actually heard he got shot in the ear just by watching the video and hearing the sound effects through my earbuds. I just thought it sounded to me like the bullets were hitting the podium, and I was just like, someone finally did it. Not that I wanted to, but I've been expecting. I mean, we saw what happened with the election. We saw what happened with the court cases and this and that. And if anybody's been paying attention, you're doing the math. You're like, well, they can't let this guy fucking win. And so when I heard about it, I was not surprised. I was like, okay, what took them so? Once again, I'm not saying this as if I'm just saying I've been expecting something like this to happen because these people fucking hate the guy so much. I was like, oh, it happened. It was like, oh, it finally happened. I guess what surprised me is that it took so long for somebody to fucking get this crazy. And here's the thing you got to think about, and I'm not even going to take credit for this. I heard somebody else kind of alluding to this. The kid was what, 20?
Mm-hmm. Something like that, yeah.
Biden's been in office for 4 years. The anti-Trump speech has not lightened, it's doubled down. When Trump was in office for 4 years, right? So that's 8 years. That means since this cat has been 14 years old, he's been listening to people saying if Trump gets back in office, it's the end of democracy, he's a Nazi, he's going to round people up, yada. So since this kid was 14, he's sitting here being fucking told by the world how horrible this fucking monster is. Uh-huh. And the dude's cheese slid off his fucking cracker, and he fucking tried to kill the fucking guy.
Yeah. Well, you can get even deeper into the weeds than that.
Oh, we won't talk about the fact that he was in a BlackRock commercial or any of that stuff.
Yeah, I mean, but I agree with you. I mean, it's, the hatred is so out of control, and I don't understand it because, I'm kind of with you. I think Trump's done some pretty good stuff. Is he a good human being? Yeah, who knows? But I don't care about that because the rest of the world fears him, and gas was pretty darn cheap.
Well,
that's important to me. Yeah. Now, what I think is going on now, I think Biden is a train wreck, and I feel bad for the guy though.
His own party can't even support him anymore.
Well, he shouldn't. It's elder abuse. Like I said, when my 16-year-old daughter who knows dick all about politics walks into my room and sees that debate, and she's like, "Does that old man want to be on stage?" I'm like, "No." She's like, "Isn't that a form of abuse?" I'm like, "Yeah, it is. It's fucking." Be honest with you, during that debate, if I was Trump, after about minute 15, I'd be like, I can't do this in good conscience. I can't fucking sit here and beat up. This guy doesn't even know where the fuck he's at. I can't do this. I don't have the stomach to beat up on this guy.
Yeah, absolutely. And, I just think every time I hear the guy, I hear my father-in-law before he passed away.
Yeah, my grandfather. Rambling.
And golly, it just breaks my heart. And, and to think that that's what we've got for our leadership. And then you look down the bullpen and you see what we got in the wings. It's kind of scary.
The question,
And I
somebody
had
brought
a whole
this up.
point to that, but I don't remember what it was.
Somebody brought up on Greg Gutfeld, which is a very good point. Clearly, this dude is not running the country. So the question is who? And that person should be brought up on fraud charges because
you already know who it is. He's just a puppet.
Yeah.
You know who his puppet master is.
His fucking wife and Obama.
Yeah. It's exactly who it is. And I'm sure fucking old Rodham is in the shadows somewhere fucking pulling some strings.
I told Gordon that night, I said, when I was walking back to the house, I said, if he's not mortally wounded or completely fucked up, if he like walks away, this is before we knew, it's just an earshot. This was like
seal the deal.
This was like just an hour after. I said, if this was just a flesh wound, I said, he's fucking won.
Yep.
And Carrie's like, and I said the same thing to Carrie. She's like, what do you mean by that? I said, because you have Trump supporters, you have the Trump haters, and you have everybody in between. But everybody in between have been watching what's going on. A lot of us have been watching what's going on. And ever since COVID, we realized the power grab that's been going on and how we can't really trust fucking anybody. And we know that we know the establishment can't have this guy fucking run for office. And people are just we're fed up with it. The dude's going to win. Mm-hmm. People who had no desire to vote for him or vote at all, they're going to do something just because we're getting to the point where 20-year-olds are popping shots off at fucking presidential candidates, let alone all the fucking violence and fires and all that shit. Like, it'd be different, like, if everything's been kind of cool and then all of a sudden you got this nutball shooting at the fucking candidate for president. But when you put everything else that's been going on together,
when you put it into perspective,
it's like, we got to do something to change the way our fucking society in this country's working, because we are quickly sliding down a fucking chute of shit here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, and that's where I really have a problem, because when I was growing up a million years ago,
back in my day,
yeah, absolutely. When I wasn't a get off my lawn kind of cat,
when he was less get off my lawn and more get on my.
Yeah, but it wasn't any big deal for us to all sit around drinking beer at the bonfire talking about our differences of opinion.
Yeah.
And
now people are getting stabbed over that shit.
Well, and why it is that we've allowed our society to dictate that we have to hate somebody who feels differently than we do.
Right.
I mean, I don't care. You do whatever you want to do. That's on you.
Here's how
I believe what I believe, and I know at the end of time I got to answer up for what I've done. But that's between me and my maker.
Here's how topsy-turvy our society's gotten. Walked in the room, Carrie was watching Republican National Convention, and I hear the speech going on. And I'm like, getting awfully red starry in here. It was the Teamster lead talking his pro-union, anti-capitalist stuff at the Republican National Convention. Things have gotten so crazy that people who wouldn't, back to Morgan's time, back in the 80s and 90s, would not have agreed. Unions and labor unions, Teamster and labor unions have always been hand in hand with the Democratic Party, because the Democratic Party always leans more communist, and at the root of communism, there's a lot of unions and all that stuff in there. The fact that even the fucking Teamsters are like, something's got to change, that they're speaking, and the fact that the Republican National Convention is like, hey, come on in. We're trying to expand our fucking tent. When you got the fucking Teamster leader speaking at the Republican National Convention and all these different groups there, people are starting to say, okay, I'm a diehard lifelong Democrat, but that's not the party I fucking recognize. And so they're stepping away, whether it's permanent or temporarily. They might just be getting away from Lance for a while. and then once Lance clears out of the tech shop, they might go back over and put their blue ties back on, but you can't blame them.
Well, I mean, when you got Russell Brand doing his podcast from the RNC, I mean, that
to give Russell credit, once he got sober, and this happened around 2020, because I'm with you with the old Russell Brand rhetoric, but if you listen to him on Joe Rogan or listen to his podcast ever since the pandemic really opened his eyes, especially living over in the United Kingdom and touring and seeing all the shit Australia did, Canada, and all these different governments did on this power grab. It really opened up his eyes, and he makes some of Joe Rogan's episodes seem fucking flat. I mean, he Russell Brand's almost borderline gone down some fucking Alex Jones routes lately. So he's really been looking around trying to take the covers off the stage, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I don't know. While we're on topic, this happens occasionally. I know it happened when Farrah Fawcett died. Michael Jackson died, took her thunder. No one realized. This weekend, we had Richard Simmons, Sharon Doherty, and Dr. Ruth all passed away over the weekend. And so, shout out to 90210 Richard Simmons for getting people skinny. And Dr. Ruth. Oh, Dr. Ruth. You guys remember the rumor that went around that Bob Ross was a Marine Corps sniper back in Vietnam?
Yeah.
He wasn't. He was an Air Force training sergeant.
Well, I was thinking about this tonight. Before the Bob Ross urban legend, it was the Dr. Ruth urban legend. In the late 90s, it was Dr. Ruth was a Jewish sniper, part of the fucking underground during World War II. That was no, she wasn't, but that was the rumor back in the day. So before Bob Ross, it was her. At least Bob Ross actually served. But yeah, Dr. Ruth passed away. Been a crazy week.
You guys remember Alf?
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Benji Gregory was found dead in his car along with his
pug
dog.
Now, was he homeless or was he drunk in a car in Arizona? I don't.
Supposedly.
Allegedly.
Allegedly.
To be fair.
I think some of his family members believe that he was on his way to deposit some residuals or something
mailbox
like
money,
that, probably from that show.
What is that, 3 cents a month on an episode of Alf?
Fell asleep in the car.
How fat, drunk, or fucking hopped up on drugs you got to be to fall asleep in a car in Arizona to the point where you die of heat exhaustion and kill your pug?
I don't know, man. But the pug died too.
Yeah, they're locked in a See, if I was in Florida,
I feel bad about that.
Yeah, if this was in Florida, people would have broke the window and took the pug out.
What he did to himself, but I feel bad for the dog.
That's a hell of a way to die. If that was Florida, they would have broke the window and pulled the dog out.
You don't deserve that dog, fucker.
Hey, fucker. Hey, fucker.
But let's see. What did he...
Did he do anything after Alf? What's his film credits?
I'm not sure. He played Brian Tanner.
Yeah, he was the kid on... He was the only boy on Alf. That was before your time, or was that like... Was that show going off the air when you were a kid?
That was before my time, but I remember seeing reruns and stuff when I was a kid.
Alf and Bartles and James commercials. That was my childhood.
Thank you for your support.
See, well, I don't even know if they're still around anymore. No, I know Seagram's tried to make a comeback for a while.
Yeah, he played on a couple of. He actually played on the A-Team, T.J. Hooker, Twilight Zone.
That was all before Alf, though.
Yeah, Alf was 86 to 90, I think, or something.
What was Alf's real name, Mike?
Alien life form.
No, that's what Alf stood for. What was his name? He was he was a living being, for God's sake. He had an identity before he landed on Earth.
I don't know.
What was his name, Morgan?
I never really watched the show, so I couldn't tell you.
It was Gordon fucking Shumway.
Gordon Shumway?
That was his name, Gordon Shumway. I think he's from the
planet
of Melmac or something.
You said that.
Yeah, Gordon Shumway. That was his name. Oh, good old Alf. Yeah.
Looks like, on the subject of Alf, in August of 2018, Warner Brothers Television announced that the development of an Alf reboot, which was later canceled in November of that year.
I was
In
going to say,
February of 22, it
wasn't a good idea the first time
well,
around.
they would have to
Come
have
on.
a huge rewrite because first and foremost, this is a society where a Netflix documentary called "Don't Fuck with Cats" went viral.
Yeah.
Alf's favorite snack was cats. That was the ongoing joke, is he was always trying to eat the pet cat. So that would have to get written out of the script. That was the ongoing joke, is him chasing the damn cat around the house. Not because he wanted to pet it, because he wanted to eat the fucking thing.
Shout Factory acquired distribution rights to the Alf titles and may develop new Alf related content.
Everything has
I got
to be
a better
an
idea.
intellectual property.
Why doesn't somebody in Hollywood come up with an original freaking idea?
They can't anymore.
Because movies cost so much, they don't want to risk money on non-existing intellectual properties.
Well, and they
I mean, they made a Rock'em Sock'em Robots cartoon, for God's sake.
Although, if they redid Alf, they'd probably make Alf a female or,
Gender
trans
neutral.
alien something.
It would look like the mascot of Rainbow Bright.
No, there's nothing else that they could fucking make. That's why everything's being remade these days.
Everything.
Or they're making stuff. They're making like what is it, for the last 25, 30 years? Movies have been coming out from books.
Mm-hmm.
The entire Harry Potter series was written.
Yeah.
Then
Twilight was
canceled.
a fucking book.
So I heard an interesting question today, and I thought I'd throw it at you guys.
Where are you at, by the way? What state are you in currently?
I am in Huntsville, Alabama right now.
I thought you were in Alabama.
So,
Huntsville.
what is the worst movie you've ever seen?
Ooh.
And no, Attack of the Killer Tomatoes does not count. That's on everybody's list.
Fuck.
I'm sure there's worse, but one that sticks in my mind because, as we've mentioned on the past, especially in the 90s when you had less intellectual properties, HBO would put the same shit on heavy rotation for months on end. And I remember I'd stay at my buddy Danny's house during the summer. His dad was a gunny sergeant in the Marine Corps, and his mom was retired Navy. Maybe that's what got me into all this weird military shit at a young age. But we would sleep in the living room and pass out with HBO on. I remember 3 weekends in a row. The horrible movie from the late 80s, early 90s, Pumpkinhead, was on every Saturday around 2 a.m. So Pumpkinhead is a pretty shitty fucking movie. Let's see what Pumpkinhead gets on Rotten Tomatoes.
Yeah, that was a pretty bad movie. I can't argue with that. But I think I've got one that's even worse.
Okay, well,
I'll wait for Mike's
We'll let the
input.
pros decide. Pumpkinhead. You guys want to guess? Mike, did you ever see Pumpkinhead?
I feel like I have, but
They brought it back in 2007.
brother.
Brother, Now, to be fair, I don't remember. I'm trying. Okay, it had to be the 1988 version of Pumpkinhead because I was living in Grove City in 1994 when Pumpkinhead 2 came out. So we're going to say
Electric Boogaloo.
it had to be Pumpkinhead Part 1, 1988. What do you guys think? Pumpkinhead. After his son dies in a hit-and-run accident, Ed Hardy, Lance Hankerson, whatever, seeks revenge against the teenagers responsible with the help of a local witch. Ed summons a vengeful demon Pumpkinhead to hunt and kill down a group of friends. So what do we think, Mike? Pumpkinhead.
Pretty shitty.
12%.
Pretty shitty is not a numerical judgment of character there, Mike. I need a number.
14.
See, this is one of those weird ones where you just like, what the fuck was the fucking critics thinking? Audience score 49%.
Oh, no way.
Really?
Tomato. That's the audience. You know what the critic score was? 65. It's Fresh.
What were they smoking?
No, well, what they do is they go back and pull up all reviews. I guarantee you they found some old Fangora magazines. What was that what was the horror movie magazine from the 80s? Was it Fangora?
Yeah,
That sounds right.
They probably found some old glaring reviews from the people who worked on the set who fucking put some old Fangora fucking reviews out. 23 reviews, 65%. So if we're going by critic score, you're going to easily beat me. Okay, Mike, what's your rate for world's worst movie that you've seen?
Now, I've grown to like it, but I'm not a normal person. But it's this.
Going Overboard?
This is Adam Sandler's first film that he was ever in. First ever movie that he was
He looks
ever
like
in.
Gilbert Gottfried on the fucking thumbnail. They have a different one that I'm looking at.
Oh my god!
Somebody bought this for me when I was like a preteen.
Well, I mean, it's on DVD, so I mean, it's got to be,
Yeah.
You want to hear the plot line of this masterpiece, Morgan?
I don't even
Lay
know
it
what the
on
disc
me,
is.
man.
It's
I
not
can't
even in
wait.
there anymore.
A general named Noriega sends a hitman to kill a beauty queen on a cruise ship because she made mockery of him.
Oh my gosh!
Now, not to
Besmirch the good name
Don't
of Adam
spoil
Sandler.
anything, Mike. Come on
not
now.
to spoil anything, but let me tell you, okay? This general, right,
Noriega.
scrolling through VHS tapes, okay? He pops one in, and out of nowhere, for some reason, it's the what he has on VHS. It's what's going on this cruise ship live, which makes no sense. So he's watching this. Shecky Moskowitz is what the main character's name is. He's watching
my
what
wife,
he's doing,
please.
but it's live at the same time, but it's recorded on a VHS tape, so it doesn't make any sense. But you want to see a real stupid movie? Watch this.
Okay, that sounds really horrible, but I still think I got
General
you.
Noriega
Billy Bob Thornton was in it too.
Oh, it's worse than that. General Noriega was played by Burt Young. King Neptune by the one and only Billy Zahn from fucking Titanic fame.
Yeah.
Billy Bob Thornton plays Dave, because why not?
Milton Berle was in it.
Terry Moore played the mistress. Tom Hodges played Bob. And fucking Pete Berg was in this. Pete Berg played Morton Ginsburg.
Yeah. Yeah, that is
Lionsgate.
Adam Sandler's first movie.
So what does Rotten Tomatoes say about this one?
This fucking gem is so bad that there's no critic score. No one bothered to review this fucking turd. Audience score, rotten. Any guesses?
12%.
Ooh, what'd you say, Mike?
6.
Without going over, closest to goes to Morgan. 11%.
Damn.
Out of 10,000 reviews, 11% of 10,000 audience members enjoyed this turd. 1989, 137 minutes of pure torture.
Yep.
Nice. All
It's
right,
pretty
see.
shitty.
You got the goal right now. You got to beat 11%, Morgan.
Oh, I think I've got this.
All right.
So, the cinematic triumph of 2002, Bubba Hotep, starring Bruce Campbell and Ozzie Davis, where Bruce Campbell plays Elvis Presley, who went into a coma for years and years and years, and wakes up in this rehab center where Ozzie Davis believes he's John F. Kennedy. And people start dying in this rest home that they're in, rehab center, whatever you want to call it. And it turns out that it's the mummy of this ancient Egyptian emperor named Hotep. And it is like the worst god awful piece of garbage. And my wife and I watched the entire thing, not believing that it could be that bad. And it was that bad.
God.
What if I told you there wasn't a single name, with the exception of Bruce Campbell, in this movie that you'd fucking recognize?
Yeah, I don't
Just
know.
Ozzie Davis, because I'm old.
They got
You
a
know.
chick in here named Gigi Fast Elk Porter. That's the actress's name. I don't know if she's Native American, so I'm not going to make fun. But with a name like Gigi Fast Elk Porter, she played the trailer park girl.
Yeah. I mean, it was low budget.
But you
Low
forgot
quality.
you fucked up, Morgan.
How so?
Bruce Campbell is a god to B-flick horror fanatics who would have fucking been on the subscription list of Fangora back in the day. Army of Darkness, Evil Dead. You can't.
Sure.
His name associated with a project is not only going to bring him out, but a movie that comes out so recently where people were waiting to see him in 2002 after Army of Darkness. Audience score, Mike? Got a guess of Bubba Hotep, rated R, released on June 9th, 2002 for 132 minutes. Comedy horror.
I'll go with 6 again.
6%. What's your percent, Morgan?
You know, I think you kind of tipped your hand there a little bit. I'm going to say 39%.
You don't fuck with Bruce Campbell. 79% audience
No,
score.
come on.
Wow!
Come on. I
Hold
mean,
on.
it's not even a good campy movie.
Wow.
Golly,
What
that's
about
awful,
what about the
man.
critic score,
Well, that's got to be like 3.
Mike?
6.
Everybody was holding hands under the tent known as Bubba Hotep. Very seldom do you see audience score 79%, critic score 79%. 50,000
Oh,
50,000
Morgan's
audience
turd
members.
is everybody else's masterpiece.
50,000 people watched this movie, and 79% of it thought it was fucking fantastic.
Oh, no. That's like
104
50,000 people with zero taste.
104 critics reviewed it, and only 25 of them thought it sucked.
Here you go. To put
Well,
it
at
into
least
perspective,
25 of them were right.
to put it into perspective, your movie had a budget of $1 million. It pulled in 1.2 at the box office. Mine had 800,000, and it doesn't even fucking say how much it made.
Why do you think Adam Sandler's been making all those movies? He's still paying the tab for this fucking turd.
Yeah.
He got like an uncle to invest in his shitty script, and he's still paying him off.
Yeah, you got to do a lot of Happy Gilmores to make up for whatever that
No,
was.
it's what is it? Family Vacation number 38.
Oh God.
But we want to thank each and every one of you for hanging out with us for another. Whoa, hold on a minute. That's a fantastic screenshot of a dead Elvis. No wonder it got such great reviews. This has been an episode of the What's in Your Head podcast. We want to hear from you. Send us an email to info@d-410.com or send us a message on Facebook and we will answer your messages. Please head over to d-410.com or what'sinyourhead.com. Click on the Patreon link, sign up and subscribe. We got a new giveaway coming away. It's weird that I've gotten in this position in life now where I have very famous authors. One of them who just so happened to write this book about an African-American Korean war pilot that was made into a movie, and he lives down in Naples now. Adam Makos is sending us an autographed book to give away as a Patreon giveaway. So please head over to what'sinyourhead.com, sign up and subscribe. It's $1 a month. All you got to do to be entered is sign up for any of the 3 tiers. Your name will be put in the drawing, and you can win that Adam Makos book. It hasn't showed up yet. I don't know which book it is. He's going to surprise us. So once we have it, we'll release that information. But also head over to youtube.com, look for D410 Media, and like and subscribe and enjoy our new. We got to do more of these drone videos. The 3 Northeast Cape Coral drone videos I've put out, fishing videos, have got more views than any of my other fishing videos. So people seem to like that. So I need to do one on Gator Circle. We're going to have to go out and do another risky day. Carrie and I were talking. Cecil B. Webb's kind of scary. I've been out there a
Where it
handful.
is?
Cecil B. Webb.
Okay.
Why is it scary?
We've been out there, but that's the only place we've seen 12-foot gators in this fucking town. They're out in Cecil B. Webb. They're out there. But yeah, we need to do Cecil B. Webb and shoot some other. And we need to get out on the boat, but that's another conversation for another time. Thank you guys so much for hanging out with y'all. We'll talk to you all next week.
This has been a Digital 410 production.